Welcome to the 2017 Bible Quiz Fellowship Nationals Preview Show. I'm Quincy Wheeler, and we're glad to have you here. I'm a coach and former Quizmaster, this year coach again, and former Quizzer. And looking forward to talking to you about the tournament.
And I'm Nate Merrill. I am a quiz coach again this year. Last year was a fun year coaching Rev, and I've been coaching for several years now, and also I'm a former quizzer.
I'm Austin Larson. I'm a former Sundown quizzer, and since I graduated, I've been doing nothing but assistant coaching Sundown and Revelation.
Great. And so what we're going to do...
if you can get it.
Yeah.
What we're going to do today is kind of run through some things that we're expecting to have happen over the next 3 exciting days of quizzing here in Kansas City at Cocoa Key Resort.
At Adams Mark Hotel.
Yes, at. Don't
and
add
Conference
us.
Center.
Do add us, actually. We don't mind if you add us. Anyway, okay, so we're going to talk about, first of all, the top quizzers that we expect to see in this tournament. Obviously, lots of great choices, but we're going to try to pick 2 quizzers each. We're going to begin that process by trying to guess what number our producer Elizabeth thought of ahead of time. So, Elizabeth, I think you thought of the number 2.
6.
5.
It was 6.
So, who do you think is going to be the top quizzer in this tournament?
All right, the pressure's on. The top quizzer at 2017 BQF Nationals. Man, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Maggie Monington will be the number 1 quizzer at this tournament.
That's a pretty sturdy limb.
True. That is a sturdy limb from a sturdy tree. Those Moningtons, you can count on them. And quizzing for Ribbon this year.
They have quite the family tree.
Yeah. That's a great choice, Nate. I'm going to go with my choice. I'm going to go for Jeremiah Bickneys from CV Squared. And I expect some great things from Jeremiah. He's been a great quizzer for quite a few years now, and I expect to see him take it to the next level this year. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see him get top quizzer, just like I wouldn't be surprised to see Maggie get top quizzer.
And I'm going to pick for the third one another quizzer who, not at all surprised if she gets top quizzer. I think she's been quizzing a long time, and she got top quizzer at the Northern Regionals tournament, Emma Shirk.
Great choice. And she quizzes for Warriors?
Warriors. Yep.
Warriors, yep. Great. Nate, back to you.
All right. Well, with the 4th overall selection, I'm going to go with Darren Ryder, who made a very strong showing at the first 2 tournaments of the year, taking first place at both the Iowa Invitational Tournament as well as at the Kansas City Regionals Tournament. And I think that even though he may have had a rough go at it at Northern Regionals, getting 8th place, I think with the fact that he is trying to memorize all the material, that he's trying to get it down solid, and I think in the last 4 weeks he has done that and will finish very strongly this year at Nationals.
Anybody remember off the top of your head how he's placed in past years?
Well, he's been up there, I know. I think to try to spread out and go over a few ministries, I'm going to choose Nathan Weeks, who will be quizzing for Messengers from Midland. Nathan performed real well last Nationals, and I'd expect to see him up there in that top 7, top 14 range.
Again, sticking with the diversity theme here, I'm going to go with another ministry, Hannah Jones from Zealous. Just a solid quizzer. She's placed in the top 14 before, and I expect she's going to have a strong year again this year.
That would not surprise me at all. Elizabeth, we have chosen 6 quizzers, and we have not chosen a quizzer from the largest ministry here. But do you have a thought of who we might be forgetting? Perhaps a name like Amber Morgan? Or
I was definitely
William?
going to say one of the Morgans.
Yeah, one of the Morgans.
But I've heard varying things on which Morgan you should have picked for your
Amber or
fantasy
Rachel, huh? Well, which varying thing are you going with?
I actually had been leaning slightly toward Rachel.
All right.
But
Well, you can't go wrong. There's some powerful last names still out there. Some star power in this tournament, and we'll look forward to seeing how those names pan out over the next few days. All kinds of great quizzers around. Lots of material this year, so I think we're going to see some strong performances from lots of quizzers who are able to compete with the stuff that they know and sticking around, because the amount of people who know all the material is probably not going to be as much as it has been in other years. Right now we're going to turn to looking at the spotlight quizzes for tomorrow. So we're going to look at some quizzes that if you're somebody out there looking for a quiz to drop by, you might want to check this out. I'm going to begin talking to you about Quiz 2 in Site 4. So Quiz 2 in Site 4 tomorrow, which will be either Chad Peterson or Rebecca McClurg as Quizmaster, will be Messengers, Warriors, and Spurs. So these are some teams that all have been around those top sites in these past few years. Spurs, maybe it's been a little while, but they're usually hanging around, and they oftentimes make some commotion on Saturday. That's Badgerland's second team, and Messengers being Midland's first team, and Warriors, as we mentioned before, with Emma Shirk being from NCO. I've noticed, though I haven't been to the tournaments, that Warriors has been placing well in the northern tournaments that they've been to, and in tournaments out this direction, and they always have been competitors, and the team has been together mostly over the past couple of years, which really helps when you get to the national tournament to have that experience of working with each other. Messengers oftentimes gets undersold, but they're always there. You can always rely on to be competitive in these quizzes, to kind of keep their errors under control, and so I expect this to be a real competitive, good quiz. I think being an early quiz, I think I'm going to go with Messengers in this quiz. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see Warriors or even Spurs take it, but I think Messengers will kind of have it together to start off and get rolling.
All right, I believe I'm up next for the next Spotlight quiz for the day on Thursday. In quiz site number 4, and it's the fourth quiz of the day. Again, we're in site 4, so again, it'll either be Chad Peterson or Rebecca McClurg. And I definitely think there is a contrast in Quizmaster there, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. We've seen By Faith, they've always been in the top 10. I think ever since their inception, as far as on a national level, from what I can tell, was from 1999 up until now, they've been in the top 10 for nationals every year. So I think that's very impressive. One thing you got to look out for is the two brothers, the Kimball brothers, Lucas and Isaac. I call them the Kimball Wizards. They have accounted for almost 54% of their team's combined scoring in the last two tournaments they've been at. It's over 60% at Kansas City and 50% at the Midland Regionals. The other thing that you want to look into also is Bethany on their team, and she's a great third option in their team's offense. I believe she is a Nationals rookie this year, and her scoring has trended upwards in the past couple tournaments. She was about 15 points per quiz at Kansas City, but then at Midland she jumped all the way up to 42.5 points per quiz, which is quite the jump. So I think this team from the Show Me State will likely not be singing the blues on Saturday night. Even though By Faith has a couple of really top quizzers in Isaac and Lucas Kimball, and then with Bethany, I think their lack of support will hurt them a little bit in this quiz. With Zealous, I think you also have the same situation where you've got two quizzers, Keenan and Hannah. Even though it might be a little hard keeping up with the Joneses in this case, I think they will be able to score some points, but they're up against Revelation, who I think, coming back from a national championship the last 2 years, even though they're reloading this year as far as quizzers on their team, they've got 5 new quizzers on Revelation this year. I think with their overall skill and their depth, they will pull out this quiz and win it. And I think Zealous will be able to get second in this quiz because they do not err. They average about 5 or 6 errors per quiz.
And don't forget, they're not just a two quizzer team. There's Joshua Payne is a fantastic third quizzer. we could have almost picked him for one of the top quizzer spots.
They're still all around. I'm surprised they average 5 or 6 errors a quiz.
Yeah.
Whenever I quiz them, they get like 3. I'm like, hey guys, you can even err more if you want to.
Yep.
Yeah, and I actually overstated that. At the Iowa tournament, they were averaging about 4.5 errors a quiz.
That's crazy. Crazy.
And then at Kansas City, which is even harder tournament, they average about 3.5 errors per quiz, which is just unbelievable. So I think because of their efficiency, they'll do well in this quiz. They even might beat Revelation, but in this case, I have Revelation taken first, I have Zealous in second, and then By Faith in third, because I think they will be a little bit more aggressive and may get into error trouble.
Gotcha. Well, for my quiz, spotlight quiz, it's going to be quiz 10 in Site 8. That's going to be either Roger Tiegler or Brian Bailey quiz mastering that quiz. It's going to be Unashamed, Clay, and Accelerate. And I think you've got different issues going on with each of these teams, but all of them are about the same skill level. All of these teams, Summit's third team, Minnesota, Wisconsin Teens for Christ, second or third team probably, and Clay, the top team from Badgerland, who has enjoyed some past success, but recently has kind of tailed off in the last few years. All of them are kind of in that 10 to 5 spot placement-wise in the last few years here. So this is going to be a really tough quiz. I think it's a tough quiz to predict because of that too. I think Unashamed has some coverage issues they have to overcome, but I've seen them really progressing through this whole season in that regard. And so I fully expect them to give anyone a run for their money, and especially if they can own the chapters that they do have, they'll do very well. Clay has a tendency to get into error trouble, and depending on the quizmaster, that'll be more of a problem for them or not. And then also though, on the other side, they have a very deep team this year. I've seen them get a lot of bonuses and beat a lot of teams that way by getting 5 or 6 quizzers deep into their rotation, or even 7, and pretty consistently. I expect
that helps you overcome error trouble for sure.
Right, and I expect they'll do that in this quiz. For that reason, I'm going to predict them to win this quiz. And then Accelerate, it's hard not to pick them because I think they've done really fantastic in some of the regional tournaments. Also a really deep team, but also error prone. And I think maybe they're not as well balanced as Clay. I don't think they get as deep into their bonuses, and they rely a little bit more on particular quizzers. But if they can do that well, they could totally take the quiz.
So predictions for tomorrow for those quizzes, Messengers, Revelation, and Clay winning those quizzes. Make sure that you take some time to find a spotlight quiz to see, especially if your team has a bye or if you're maybe looking for a good quizzing to watch. Check some of those out. We just want to now turn to our friend Nate. Hey Nate, congratulations on head coaching the team that won the championship last year.
Well, thank you.
Nice.
It was quite a blessing and quite an honor to be a part of that group. I mean, they were very much self-motivated and go-getters, and I was just pointing them in the right direction, and they were doing the work. So it was really great to be a part of.
It was a strong team, and you coached well. And using your quizzing expertise as you like to do, would you like to share with us your round robin projections? Because I know you go through each quiz and you project. So tell us about the top 10 teams as you see them.
Yes, I painstakingly go through every single quiz of the round robin and assign placements. And this year, a little bit different thing happened. I went through and I tried to do my best to average placement of the teams and how they did in the tournaments, take their average placement, and then factor that into each placement for each quiz. So if they had a better number for, like, if they get first every time, then they're going to be the team that might win that matchup against 2 other teams that might have an average that's lower.
All right.
For their rank.
New system.
My top 10. Let's start with the 10th spot and move our way up. In the 10th spot, I've got Sundown predicted here with an 11-8 record in the round robin. Messengers in 9th with a 12-7 record. I've got Clay in 8th with a 15-3-1 record. And let me make this a little bit bigger. In 7th, I have Strive from Summit with a 14-4-1 average. In 6th, I have Warriors from NCO again with 15-4 record. By Faith in 5th with a 15-4 record. And I figured the tiebreaker there would be, in the record, would be the numbered total points. And I think By Faith would probably be scoring more points in that case. And that's why I have them in 5th. In 4th, I have Moxie, which I have them at a 17-2 record. It seems like it's a really good record. It's the second best record overall, but I just don't know if they're going to have the scoring power as the team that's right ahead of them, and that's Accelerate in 3rd with a 15-4 average, a couple more second places than Moxie, but I think overall points-wise they're going to score more points. And in 2nd place, might be a little bit of an upset, but we'll see. Revelation with a 17-2 record. I think they'll score a fair number of points, but I don't think they'll score as many points as this team in first. And in case you don't know at this point, the number 1 team I have listed here is Riven, and I'm predicting them. And I hope this isn't, cursing them in any way, but I have them going 19-0 and 0 in the round robin, undefeated round robin. I don't know if that's has been done very often, but that's what I have for them.
And now, is part of that because of a favorable schedule? I mean, we know that, of course, they have tons of firepower, and they could go undefeated anytime you think of it. But is part of that because their schedule's favorable?
I mean, I think it's pretty balanced overall, but I just looked at each matchup and I just thought they don't have too many quizzes where there's, like there was last year when it was the Revelation, Moxie, and Riven quiz, which was just
Right.
killer.
How do you
Yeah,
predict that?
that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I think, this year there are 19 quizzes, which means everyone's going to quiz 38 other teams. So there'll still be 6 other teams that they won't be quizzing. But I still think that they have a good mix of everyone's that's in a top spot. So I think because of that, they'll be able to win.
Well, obviously the weakness of these predictions or these schedules is that when you do all the head-to-head matchups, there's going to be weird things that happen. There's going to be quiz masters that teams don't work well with, or teams that you expect are going to lose a quiz are going to have a really good quiz, and the other way around, people are going to get into air trouble. So a lot of these records, in the top 10, where it shows, people having 1 or no thirds, I think just about every team here is, or most of them is probably going to have like 1 third place, 1 bad quiz, and maybe a couple more seconds than we expect. So I think you got to take that into account. But as far as the actual team placement goes, I think it's a good year for Summit, but having Summit have 3 of the top 4 spots is maybe not quite accurate. We'll see though. They've certainly shown that in some of the regional tournaments. I just think Nationals is a different animal, and other teams are going to step up their game now that they know that. Sundown, I think, could be probably in an 8 or 9 spot, I think as the assistant coach for Sundown, maybe I say that, but I think
they're a team on the rise.
Yeah, a team on the rise and good at
Sunrise. Which one are they? Yeah.
good at
Okay.
staying out of air trouble. I think also then By Faith maybe is a little bit too high based on some of the same critiques you made in your predictions.
I'm going to give you 3 teams that I think that at least 2 of the 3 will be in the top 10 that Nate didn't have in his top 10. That would be CB Squared, Zealous, and Third Day. Third Day is Family Life's top team. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those 3 teams, and I think 2 of those 3 will be in the top 10. I can't tell you for sure who's going to drop out of your top 10, but I think 2 of those 3 will be in the top 10.
We've got 2 days of quizzing to help.
And I'm
decide that.
excited about that. Quizzing is coming.
Yeah, you get to
I'm
coach.
waiting.
You get to coach.
Yeah,
again
I'm
this year.
coaching again this year. Yeah, it's great to be back coaching, though. I'm sure I'll miss quiz mastering too. All right, let's finish up this segment by talking about our segment called Get Words. You may have heard your coach tell you to get words. So let's give those who are watching 1 or 2 words to remember as they go into tomorrow.
Encouragement. And to elaborate on that, I would say there'll be some tough quizzes this week, whether you're on a top team or whether you're on a not so top team. And as a coach, or even as fellow quizzers, it's very important that you encourage one another in the good times and in the bad times, because what you really take away from this tournament is not necessarily the place you make, the stats you get, the averages. It's really about the memories that you share and how much fun you have. That's what's really going to stick with you. So
Yeah.
I encourage you to keep that in mind and have fun this week.
And my word would be gratefulness. And the reason I say that is because I know it's been a little more of a challenge this year to get some table officials to come. So I encourage all you quizzers to be thankful and grateful for the table officials who serve. remember that when you have a tough quiz with a quizmaster. We might have some quizmasters who are newer, maybe don't have as much experience in high-level quizzes, because I know we have some folks like Jim Chickasee and myself who've done more high-level quizzes who are coaching this year. And so when you have that happen, sometimes you have some newer quizmasters coming up. And as quizzers, remember to be grateful for the time they're giving to serve, to be gracious when decisions are made that maybe you don't agree with and maybe even that are wrong. And remember that this tournament can't happen without those people being part of it.
Well, I'm going to break the trend and feel like a heathen giving advice on how to win quizzes or something here, but my 2 words for the get words segment are actually get words. What I mean by that is this year, I've noticed it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that than just timing every quiz the same way. I think there's a lot more variation in the quizmasters. We've seen that at the Kansas City tournament. There were some quizmasters just giving tons of words and you couldn't hardly stop them. And then we've got some other quizmasters from like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Teens for Christ, for instance, who really just stop on a dime. And so knowing your quizmaster is going to make or break whether you're going to get any words or none.
Let's wrap up today with our meme of the day from our quizzing meme master, Nate Merrill.
Well, the credit to this meme goes to Lumpy. He sent out a meme earlier today as he was setting up his cave for all the stats that he does and all the electronics that he does. And
thanks to him for that.
yeah,
Yes, thank you, Lumpy.
thank you for doing what you do every year. Setting one of the things that you want us to remember is your cave is sort of a restricted area, and you don't want just anyone going in there, especially quizzers. And so, thank you, Lumpy, for your contribution to the meme of the day.
Lord of the Rings and quizzing just go together like
Oh yeah.
peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.